Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today, we're looking at a crypto token that's built for something more than just trading. We're going to dive deep into the WLFI token, figure out its real purpose, how it all works, and what really makes it tick. So, let's just start with a really big question. Most of us think of crypto as something you buy, hold on to, and just hope the price goes up. But what if a token's real value wasn't just its price tag? What if it was about the influence it gives you? What if it was your actual ticket to having a say in how a whole platform is run? And to really answer that, we need to get to the heart of it all. So let's get right to it. What exactly is the WLFI token? Okay, so at its core, WFI is what's called a native token for a DeFi platform called World Liberty Financial, or WLF for short. Now, native token just means it's the platform's own built-in token. But here's the kicker. It's not designed to be just a currency. Its whole reason for being is governance and participation. It's basically the key that unlocks that entire ecosystem. The source material uses this great analogy. Think of WLFI as your ticket, but it's not just a ticket to get in the door, it's a ticket that gives you a voice once you're inside. And that simple idea is really what separates a governance token from a regular old cryptocurrency. So, how does that voice actually work? That brings us to the mechanics of influence. This is where we get into the real nuts and bolts of how holding a token can translate into actual power. The process is actually surprisingly direct. By holding WLFI tokens, you get voting rights. And this isn't just for show. Holders get to vote on real, concrete proposals that actually shape the platform's future. Everything from what new features get built, to operational changes, to even how the project's own treasury funds are spent. Of course, supply and demand are always part of this story. Like a lot of tokens, WLFI has a capped total supply. A piece of it is circulating out there on the market, while the rest is locked up, usually for the team or future development, and it gets released over time. Now, this fixed supply is a really key part of the economic engine we're about to look at. So the platform itself is this living, breathing ecosystem, right? And it makes money by collecting fees from all its different financial operations. This is the first step in a really interesting economic loop that's designed to support the token. And here's step 2. Instead of just holding onto those fees, the platform uses a chunk of them to buy back its own WLFI tokens right off the open market. This creates this constant buying pressure, and it directly links the platform's success to the token's activity. The final step is something called a burn. After buying the tokens back, the platform literally removes them from existence forever. By systematically chipping away at the total supply, the goal is to make the tokens that are left over more scarce, which, in theory, could help support their value in the long run. Okay, so we get the mechanics of voting and the supply. But what are all the different jobs this token is supposed to do? That brings us to our next section, the token's purpose. The WLFI token really does wear a few different hats. First up is governance, which we've already covered. It also acts as a kind of platform membership card, unlocking special perks. Of course, it can be traded and held just like other assets. And finally, its value is directly tied to those unique supply mechanics we just talked about. So this is a super crucial point. WLFI is not a payment coin. It's not designed for you to go buy coffee with it. It is a utility and governance token. Think of it as a tool for participating, for voting, and for getting access to an ecosystem. It's all about its function inside the platform, not just for exchange outside of it. Now, with any kind of innovation, it is absolutely essential to look at both sides, the potential and the pitfalls. That brings us to section 4, where we're going to get a balanced view of the appeal versus the risk. So on the appeal side, the list is pretty compelling. The biggest draw is that it gives holders real influence, a genuine say in the project's direction. Its value is also directly tied to the success of the entire WLF ecosystem. And that whole buyback and burn mechanism, well, that provides a structural reason that could support its value, all backed up by some pretty significant branding and visibility. But we absolutely have to look at the risks. The token's value is completely dependent on the ecosystem's success. If the platform stalls, the token's utility could just plummet. Those big token unlocks down the road could increase supply and affect the price. High-profile projects always attract regulatory attention. And, well, it's a crypto asset. High volatility is a given. These are all crucial things to keep in mind. And this really clarifies the two different ways you can approach this. You can be an engaged participant, someone who actually uses the token for governance and access, or you can be a passive speculator, someone who's just holding it hoping the price goes up. The entire system is built from the ground up to reward the engaged participant. So after looking at the mechanics, the purpose, and the risks, what should we really take away from all of this? Let's zoom out for our final section, the bigger picture. Ultimately, a token like WLFI represents a fascinating and pretty significant trend. Early crypto often rewarded just plain old ownership. Just holding an asset was enough. This model, though, is all about rewarding active participation and loyalty. It's a shift from being a passive investor to being an active stakeholder in a community's future. And this really just brings it all home. When you hold a token like this, you don't just have a currency. You have a stake in how an entire financial platform operates. You own a piece of the decision-making process itself. Which leaves us with one last thought-provoking question to consider. In a decentralized world, maybe the greatest value a token can offer isn't its price, but its power. Is a voice in the system the ultimate utility? Something to think about.